Greetings my Inhuman friends, and I don't have an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. t-shirt or an Inhumans t-shirt, but the best I can give you is an Avengers t-shirt, and I am still here to give you my review on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3. Just like I did with my Once Upon a Time season review, I'm going to give you a review of the finale episode, which featured a two-parter as well, and then I'm going to give my overall thoughts on Season 3 itself. So we start this episode off with Daisy still dealing with the fact that she was controlled by Hive, what she did to others, how many people she killed, what she has done, the consequences of her actions, and we find out that Hive has found out the missile, he's on the island, he's ready to launch it, and Talbot is also helping S.H.I.E.L.D. taking care of that. He tries to contact the general and a secretary, but they say the red letter would take 2 weeks to let him end this scenario that Hive is launching his missile. So S.H.I.E.L.D. takes care of things with their own hands. Fitz makes this awesome techie thing where he pretends to be the general and using a voice modulator of some voice recordings he has of the general that Talbot talked to previously. He pretends to be the general and puts S.H.I.E.L.D. into motion. They get to the island where Hive is prepared to launch his missile, they get there by water in stealth mode, and they divide themselves in teams. May stays with Lincoln, Mac stays with Yo-Yo. While this is going on, we have Simmons trying to get Daisy to remember what absolution means. But nothing is triggering a memory. She can't remember anything of what Hive's words meant. And while this is going on, we also have Dr. Radcliffe creating the Primitives, an imperfect version of the Inhumans created with humanly created Terrigenesis, and this is going to go. I love the moment where Coulson goes to talk to Daisy about guilt and what she's feeling and how she should not be blamed, but I love how Daisy handles it. This is a grown character. This is a completely different character than what we saw in Season 1, in Season 2, and even in the beginning of Season 3. I love their conversation. Clark Gregg and Chloe Bennett have such great chemistry on screen. I love seeing their characters interact, and it's one of the things that I wish I could have seen more in this season, just like we've seen in previous seasons. We have S.H.I.E.L.D. avoiding the launch of the warhead, we have them capturing Hive, taking them to S.H.I.E.L.D. custody, they trap him in this cage, which then traps him in some kind of amber substance. I couldn't tell, but now all is good because S.H.I.E.L.D. has finally captured Hive. He's finally going to be stopped. Or is he? I love a moment where Talbot is walking the corridor with Coulson and he makes this joke about how stupid it was to bet on who would win this time, just like it is stupid to bet on WrestleMania. Love that shout out. And now Radcliffe is going to work with Simmons, and now Dr. Radcliffe is going to work with Fitz and Simmons to find a solution to cure the Primitives. And I love the interaction he has with Talbot. It was great, it was funny. John Hannah can work great with any actor in this world. Then we probably have the second most beautiful moment in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this season. We have Mac going to Daisy, saying he forgives her, it's alright, he knows she was mind controlled, she didn't mean to do it, and Daisy just can't forgive herself. She's crying, she's telling Mac to go away, she doesn't want him to touch her, she thinks she's dangerous, she's going to hurt him, and Mac just holds her, and then Daisy lets it all out. And I thought this moment was so beautiful. This scene was so perfectly placed. The way they shot it, how they filmed the two characters at times, how they get a close-up here and then of both of them. I love that they didn't shy away from only showing Mac's face when they embraced, because you can hear Daisy crying. You don't need to see how she's doing. She's crying. You know that by the sound. And the shot just focuses on Mac. I thought it was perfect. This scene was pure poetry. And then we have our first foreshadowing on who's going to die. Fitz is leaving the lab, he picks up a S.H.I.E.L.D. jacket, and then he sees the crucifix. And Gemma just says, it's probably from Yo-Yo. He tells her, okay, I'll deliver it to her. And he puts it on the jacket's pocket. And here I thought Fitz would die. I was so scared because Fitz is one of my favorite characters. And when they lingered on the crucifix being in his hand, I was really scared. But then on the second part we'll play a little bit of hot potato with this crucifix, so we'll get to that. We have Fitz with an agent prepared to take Hive's body away, but the base is locked out and somehow the hangar door doesn't close. He's thinking this is weird, telling people to close it up. All of a sudden Fitz glances at the box where Hive's at and he notices the tag says Absolution. And then we get a little explosion and the genetically created Terrigenesis is spread out. The agent Fitz was it transforms into a primitive, more agents come in and they are transformed as well, and then Fitz only escapes with an agent, and now Hive, and he's going to take a SHIELD shuttle with him. But before they leave, Daisy decides to finally get out of her cage, which I love because she has spent this whole episode fighting with herself, and now she has made a decision to face Hive, to not be afraid of him. And then she kneels before him and tells him to take her back. I absolutely hated this. I wanted Daisy to go out and prove how strong of a character she is and face Hive from this moment onwards, but she didn't. This is somehow remedied in the second part of the episode, and we will now get to that, because this was the part where the first episode ended. We start the second part of the finale just like we ended the first one, where Daisy's pleading Hive to take her back, but then he says no. He can't. She's now impervious. And then Daisy submerses Hive's control over her, and the fight starts. And I love this fight between Hive and Daisy, and I love that in this whole season they did not shy away from showing off superpowers, just like they should. They're focusing on the Inhumans, so they should show their powers. This awesome fight between Daisy and Hive was awesome. It's a real back and forth fight. Both of them get their shots at each other. Finally, Daisy pushes a knife, which is held by Hive's own hand, into his chest. But then as a SHIELD shuttle comes down to the hangar, Daisy is distracted and Hive knocks her out, putting her back in the cell. So now Hive, Jaiera, and Hellfire are escaping. Some of the Primitives are still escaping the SHIELD base. One finds Mac and shoots at him. Mac is completely fine after the shooting, and then he notices Yo-Yo is shot. Yo-Yo, along with some other members of the SHIELD, stays in a bed to be surgically taken care of. We have May finding Daisy, and now they have also a great scene where Daisy remembers who she is, who she learned from, and May trusts her. May tells her that even her husband trusted Daisy, so she knows Daisy is a good person. And I love this scene, building off from last week and building off from May's character development during this season. We have Jaiera coming in and knocking May out. He gets a gun, he's pointing it at Fitz, and Fitz tells Jaiera he can't kill him because he has a weapon that will go off if he's killed. Jaiera tells him to show it, and Fitz out of nowhere shoots Jaiera and kills him with a pistol he had camoed on his own hand. I thought this was awesome. I was shocked that Fitz would do this, and I was shocked that Jaiera was killed. I love Mark Dacascos, and I loved seeing him in this season. I thought he was a good character. Fitz and May get Daisy out of her cage, and while this is happening, and then we see a scene where we are playing now Hot Potato, as I told you, where Fitz has given his jacket to Daisy. She goes through the pockets and she finds the crucifix. She now has the crucifix, and you just see Chloe Bennett's face in this scene. Just great acting. We have a confrontation between Coulson and Hive. Hive believes SHIELD has gotten into the ship. He takes the face of Ward out. We see Hive as he is, and great effects, honestly, for ABC. If this is what creates their budget constraints on Once Upon a Time, I'm happy to see this is how they pulled off Hive. But then Hive finds out that Coulson is a hologram, and he was there just to distract Hive. And we see the rest of the SHIELD team infiltrating Hive's ship and going to the rescue of Daisy, May, and Fitz. We have May and Lincoln taking out Hellfire, but just when they think he's down, Lincoln sees Daisy, they look at each other, everything stops for a moment, but then Hellfire shoots Lincoln on the abdomen with a fireball. Lincoln gets down and he's seriously wounded. We see Daisy worried with Lincoln. She's there for him, she's holding him, she's supporting him, and then Lincoln notices the crucifix that Daisy has put on her neck. And Lincoln knows what this means because Daisy has told him of her vision, and Lincoln just tells her to promise him that she won't go forth with that, and they fight a little bit. Lincoln tries to make her promise. We have the whole team decided who is going to go on the shuttle to stop it, and then the team notices that Daisy is gone. Lincoln tells them he couldn't stop her, and then all of a sudden we get Primitives fighting with a SHIELD team. The team is trying to take care of the Primitives as fast as they can, and we see Daisy climbing the ladder that is going to the shuttle that is going to go up into the stratosphere to sacrifice herself. She's preparing the warhead, and then who shows up but Hive. Hive is accusing Daisy of working for the wrong side, that SHIELD is using her for their own self-interests, and she doesn't know what she's doing. Daisy accuses him of killing Lash and so many other people, and she tells Hive that Lash saved her so she could finish this off. Suddenly we hear Lincoln's voice, and we see him in the front seat of the shuttle, prepared to go, and then out of a sudden he just throws Daisy out, so Hive and Lincoln go up. Lincoln as the crucifix that he took off Daisy's neck. And then we'd have Daisy talking to Lincoln through the telecommunicator, and by the shots they took and the dialogue they had, the lighting even, it kind of reminded me of Captain America, the first Avenger, when Captain America is sacrificing himself, speaking his last words to Peggy Carter. Chloe Bennet once again very, very powerful in this scene like I've never seen her before. Oh my god, I truly just felt so much for this character. This scene was great, and Chloe Bennet has grown so much as an actress ever since the first season of this show. Lincoln and Hive finally get to outer space, and Daisy's pleading her team to do something, but they can't. Nobody there can do anything because they are out there. They have no way to communicate with the ship, so now we see Hive and Lincoln preparing for their eventual demise. I don't like this particular scene where Lincoln and Hive are just hovering in the air inside the ship, but I love the last line they have when Hive says he just wanted to make the world better, but nobody understood him, and Lincoln replies, they're only human. And then the ship explodes, the SHIELD team sees it, Daisy sees it, we see them dealing with watching the explosion, Daisy's crying on the ground, she can't handle it, and we see Gemma asking, what now? And then suddenly we cut to 6 months later, where Coulson, and then we see a hotel room with a board that's showing off a lot of Daisy related articles, asking if she's a hero or a rogue, what is she doing, what are her powers, what is she capable of. And then we see Coulson looking with some binoculars through the window to the outside, and we see Daisy now with a different look, longer hair, speaking with a wife and child of the man who gave her the vision of the future that someone was going to die. She tells the child she knows of a friend, and she gives the little girl a wood maiden robin. Coulson sees the robin and he tells his team to go in. Daisy runs off, she goes into an alley, she uses her powers to jump to a rooftop and get away. When Mac and Coulson get there, they don't see Daisy, and Coulson tells Mac to warn the director that they have failed. I don't know whose director this is, I don't know who they are working for. We can see now that they are working for a completely different company or agency. At least the first part of season 4 will probably be them looking for Daisy. I really enjoyed this finale. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really nails it with their premieres and their finales during their seasons. I liked both parts of the season. Part A, I love that we were dealing with Lash. I think he's a great character in the comics, and I love the twist that Lash was Andrew. It gave great character development for Andrew and for May as well. When they trapped him, when they found out he was a villain, he had killed all these people because of several reasons, and May just couldn't forgive him. I thought it was great development for that character. Ward was a passive villain during most of the season, until when they finally get to the planet where Simmons was trapped at. S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra get face to face there, they fight off, and then Coulson kills Ward. I love that scene where he even leaves his hand on his chest, but then you see that he has been taken over by Hive. And then we get to the part I like the least on this season. We have Hive infiltrating Hydra, taking over them slowly, and that's the problem. We have Gideon, and he's trying to get Hive to cooperate with them. Hive doesn't want to, he wants to be the leader, and then they present his daughter. And this part of the season, although every storyline was interesting, it was really, really slow. We lost about 3 to 4 episodes with just Hive and Hydra trying to see who got the upper hand, and I thought it was a waste of time. I love John Hanna coming into this show. I love that he's now one of the good guys. We'll talk about the secret scene in a moment. I still like this season, but the second part of the season, at least, really suffered from focus. I really enjoy every season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but at all times their failure is in their focus. They have so many storylines, so many great storylines at that, but the way they connect them is where they failed, in my opinion. And season 1 is the one that they fail at this the most, and I think that's why many people at the time gave up on the show, at least until the part where they connected with Captain America the Winter Soldier. Mac is still the best misused character in this show, and I think he's a great character. He has such great relations in this show with so many characters. I really want him to be a leader on missions in season 4. Please make this happen. And speaking of Mac, let's transition into that episode where Bobby and Hunter go. That last scene where they are all at the bar, raising their glasses at them. This was the best scene in the whole season. Mac in that scene was the one that brought my tears out. I love that scene. It was so hard to say goodbye to those characters, some of the best on the show, only behind Chloe Bennet maybe. And now that Most Wanted is cancelled, I'm looking forward to see if they bring them back on the show or not. But now let's speak of the little scene that makes us look forward to season 4. We have Dr. Radcliffe celebrating his last day of hearings, now a full-on SHIELD agent, and he's speaking with his AI, Ada, and now he's creating a life model decoy for her. As we know from the comics, Nick Fury is a big fan of LMDs meaning life model decoy, and now I can see how this is going to create some trouble for SHIELD, because in many times that Nick Fury shows up in the comics, he creates a lot of problems because of his LMDs. So now I'm expecting, at least in the second part of season 4, to be agents versus robots or AIs. Maybe Ada turns on Dr. Radcliffe, and I'm glad that now John Anna is a recurring character on this show. A really good season on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. At least the first part of the season is the best season parter that we've seen in this show ever. And this second part is solid as well. This series has never gone full on amazeballs or anything beyond that, but I really enjoyed this show, and I will definitely give Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3 a martini. It's a good time anytime, and one of the few shows I buy on Blu-ray. What did you think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3? Did you enjoy the Inhuman storyline? Did you enjoy what they did with Lash? I was kind of disappointed when they killed him off because Lash is a very powerful character. What are you expecting for Season 4? What storylines are you looking forward for them to adapt? What villains or heroes do you want to see in this show? What relations would you like to see evolve and grow in the next season now that Daisy is running away from S.H.I.E.L.D.? What do you want to see in this show now that it is moving up on the time slot to make up for edgier and darker tones on this show? I want to know it all, and I want you to check out my Facebook and my Instagram and stalk me on the internet. And if you haven't, click the little subscribe button below the video box so you can get updated whenever I upload a video. Of course, there will be a link to my previous video right here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the season review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3. There's a link to my previous video right here, and it is my Once Upon a Time Season 5 review. Of course, there is spoilers just like there were here. Tonight I'm going to see X-Men Apocalypse, and as soon as I get home, I will bring you a spoiler-free movie review. And on Friday, I will bring the X-Men Apocalypse Q&A, and on Sunday, I will bring you the X-Men Apocalypse spoilers review. Of course, I will see you guys in my next review. Cheers.